Every time you leave the house, your dog panics, pacing, whining, chewing the furniture. You come home to destruction, and guilt floods in. Or maybe, your dog growls at strangers, lunges at other dogs, barks uncontrollably. You tell yourself, maybe he'll grow out of it. But deep down, you know something's wrong. And the walks? Forget about it. Your arm aches from being yanked down the street like a human sled. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. But here's the truth most trainers won't tell you. These behaviors don't just fix themselves. But what if you could stop your dog's anxiety before it spirals? What if aggression could be replaced with trust? And what if leash pulling could end forever? Stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix dog anxiety, aggression, and leash pulling fast. And trust me, the mistake most owners make? You don't want to be guilty of it. Understanding dog anxiety. Why it happens. Dogs don't wake up one day and decide to be anxious. Anxiety is built over time, sometimes slowly, sometimes triggered by a single event. But here's the tricky part. Most dog owners don't even realize their dog is struggling until the signs are impossible to ignore. It starts small. Restlessness, constant pacing, a little more barking than usual. You brush it off. Maybe he's just full of energy, you think. Then, one day, you step outside, and it's like you've vanished off the face of the earth. Whining turns into howling. Scratches appear on the door. A couch cushion is torn apart. Your neighbor complains about the noise. Separation anxiety. One of the most common forms of dog anxiety. But it's not just about missing you, it's full-blown panic. In their mind, they don't know if you're coming back. Minutes feel like hours. They're not acting out for fun, they're in survival mode. And then there's noise anxiety. You're enjoying a quiet evening when a sudden thunderclap rattles the sky. Your dog jumps up, eyes wide, ears pinned back. He bolts under the table, trembling. His breathing is quick, shallow. It's not just thunder. Fireworks, sirens, even a vacuum cleaner can send some dogs into a state of sheer terror. Some dogs suffer from social anxiety. Maybe they were never socialized properly as a puppy. Maybe they had a bad experience with another dog or a human. Whatever the cause, the result is the same. Fear. You take them to the park, and instead of excitement, you see hesitation, tail tucked between their legs, eyes darting around. Then, the growl. A warning. They don't trust their environment, and when a dog doesn't trust, they react. And then, there's trauma. A past that leaves scars, ones you can't always see. Rescue dogs, especially, carry their history with them. A raised hand might send them cowering. A certain sound might make them flinch. To them, the world isn't safe. They don't understand that they're finally home. But here's where most owners get it wrong. They think their dog will just get over it. That time alone will heal them. It won't. Anxiety doesn't fix itself. It escalates. That nervous pacing? It turns into destructive chewing. That hesitation around strangers? It can become aggression. That fear of being left alone? One day, you might come home to a dog who's injured himself trying to escape. This is why recognizing the early signs is everything. A dog that suddenly hides. A dog that refuses to eat when left alone. Excessive drooling. Panting when there's no heat. Whining that never seems to stop. The eyes that stay wide, alert, scanning for a threat that isn't there. Understanding why anxiety happens isn't just about knowing the signs. It's about knowing what your dog is trying to tell you. Because every behavior, every reaction, every fearful glance has a reason. The question is, are you listening? How to stop dog anxiety. Proven methods. An anxious dog doesn't need to be scolded. They don't need to be ignored. What they need is guidance. A structured way to tell their nervous system, you're safe. And here's the truth. Stopping dog anxiety isn't about one magic trick. It's about consistency, patience, and knowing exactly what works. The first step is creating an environment that signals security. Dogs rely on familiarity. If their surroundings feel unpredictable, anxiety thrives. Start with a designated safe space, somewhere quiet, away from high-traffic areas. A crate, if used correctly, can be one of the best anxiety-reducing tools. Not a punishment, not a cage, but a den. A place they associate with peace, not isolation. A well-placed bed, a calming scent, Even soft music playing in the background can make a world of difference. Then, there's desensitization. The process of exposing a dog to their triggers, but in a controlled, manageable way. Let's say your dog panics at loud noises. Instead of waiting for the next thunderstorm, introduce them to those sounds gradually. Play a low-volume recording. Let them hear it while they're relaxed. Give them a treat. Little by little, their brain stops associating it with danger. And speaking of training, redirection is one of the most powerful tools you can use. An anxious dog fixates on what scares them. Break that focus. If they start pacing, introduce a command they know, something simple like sit or touch. Reward them immediately. The goal isn't to force them to obey. It's to give them a task that shifts their mindset. Exercise is another critical piece of the puzzle. Not just physical but mental. A tired dog has less energy to fuel anxiety. A 30-minute walk? Good. A walk that includes sniffing, exploration, a bit of structured play? Even better. Mental stimulation drains stress. Puzzle feeders, scent games, even basic obedience drills turn restlessness into engagement. Then there's touch. Some dogs need space when they're overwhelmed, but for many, physical contact is grounding. Slow, deliberate strokes along the chest or ears can lower their heart rate. A weighted anxiety wrap, like a thundershirt, mimics the security of deep pressure therapy. It's not a gimmick. Studies show it actually helps. For severe cases, supplements can offer support. CBD oil, chamomile, valerian root, natural remedies that calm without sedation. But they're not a replacement for training. They're a tool, not a solution. The key to all of this? Consistency. An anxious dog needs predictability, a routine they can trust. And most importantly, they need an owner who understands that anxiety isn't disobedience. It's distress. The more you work with them, not against them, the more their fear fades. It won't happen overnight. There will be setbacks. But every time your dog looks at you and chooses trust over fear, you'll know you're doing it right. Understanding dog aggression. Aggression isn't just a dog acting out. It's not stubbornness, dominance, or a personality flaw. It's communication. A message that something is wrong. And yet, too many dog owners don't realize this until the growling turns into snapping, or worse. Aggression is one of the main reasons dogs are rehomed, abandoned, or euthanized. And that's heartbreaking because, in most cases, aggression isn't a permanent trait, it's a response to something deeper. Fear, stress, uncertainty, pain. But before you can fix it, you have to understand where it comes from. For some dogs, aggression is rooted in fear. They've learned that when they feel threatened, they have two choices, flight or fight. And when they feel like running isn't an option, they choose to fight. A dog that's cornered, a dog that's been punished too harshly, a dog that's been forced into uncomfortable situations. These are the dogs that lash out, not because they want to, but because they feel like they have no other choice. Then there's territorial aggression, the instinct to protect their space, their home, their family. You see it when a dog barks relentlessly at the window when someone walks by. When they lunge at the front door the second they hear a knock. It's not random. It's a deeply ingrained survival response. Some breeds are naturally more protective, but when this instinct goes unchecked, it can escalate into full-blown aggression. Resource guarding is another common trigger. Food, toys, even a favorite spot on the couch. Some dogs see these as high-value possessions, and when they feel like they might lose them, they react. A stiffened body, a low growl, maybe even a snap if you get too close. To an untrained eye, it seems like defiance. In reality, it's insecurity. A dog that guards resources isn't trying to dominate you. They're trying to prevent something from being taken away. Leash aggression is a problem many owners deal with but don't fully understand. A dog that's completely fine at home suddenly turns into a lunging, barking mess the second they see another dog or a stranger on a walk. The tension in the leash, the feeling of being restrained, the heightened energy of the moment. It all compounds into frustration, and that frustration turns into aggression. And then, there's pain aggression. A dog in discomfort might not growl, might not show any obvious signs, until someone touches the wrong spot. A sore joint, a hidden injury, a bad tooth. When aggression seems to come out of nowhere, pain is often the missing puzzle piece. But here's where many owners go wrong. They punish the aggression without addressing the cause. They yell, they scold, they force submission. But aggression isn't something you can intimidate out of a dog. If you don't fix the root issue, you don't stop the aggression, you just suppress it. And suppression isn't control. It's a ticking time bomb. The truth is, No dog is born aggressive. But any dog, in the right circumstances, can become aggressive. The key is knowing the signs before things escalate. The hard stare. The stiff posture. The lip curl. The low, rumbling growl that most people ignore until it's too late. A dog gives plenty of warnings before they bite. The question is, are you paying attention? How to stop dog aggression. Aggression isn't something you can just hope will go away. It won't. It needs to be addressed with patience, consistency, and the right approach. And the worst thing you can do, react with fear or frustration. That only makes things worse. The first step is identifying the triggers. Every aggressive dog has them. For some, it's strangers. For others, it's food, toys, or being touched in certain areas. And for many, it's the leash, being held back when their instincts are telling them to react. The key is recognizing the signs before aggression escalates. A stiff body, ears pinned back, the tail held rigid, that hard stare that comes a few seconds before a growl. These aren't random behaviors, they're warnings. And if you ignore them, the dog's next step is to act. Once you understand what sets your dog off, you can start working on controlled exposure. This doesn't mean forcing them into stressful situations and hoping they adjust. That backfires. Instead, you introduce the trigger at a low intensity and create a positive association. A dog that reacts aggressively to strangers? Start at a distance. Let them observe without feeling cornered. Reward them for staying calm. Slowly, over time, decrease the space. Never rush this process. It's not about getting through it quickly, it's about rewiring how your dog thinks. The next tool in your arsenal is redirection. An aggressive dog is often hyper-focused on the trigger. The moment they lock in, their brain is already preparing for a response. You have to break that focus. Before they reach the point of growling or lunging, get their attention. Use a command they already know, look at me, sit, or even just their name in a sharp but calm tone. The second they respond, reward them. The goal is to teach them that reacting calmly is more rewarding than aggression. But here's the part many owners miss: structure. A dog that lacks clear rules is a dog that feels the need to take control. And when a dog thinks they have to be in charge, aggression follows. Establishing leadership doesn't mean using force or intimidation, it means creating clear boundaries. They wait before walking out the door. They don't demand attention on their terms. They follow commands the first time. The more structured their world is, the less they feel the need to control it. If your dog's aggression is rooted in fear, punishment will only make it worse. Instead, use confidence-building exercises. Teach them commands that give them a sense of control. Simple things like place training, having them stay on a mat while they observe their trigger from a distance, can transform their mindset. The more confident a dog is, the less likely they are to react out of fear. And then, there's leash handling. If your dog is aggressive on walks, everything you do with the leash matters. Tension travels down the leash. If you stiffen up every time another dog approaches, your dog feels it. They take that as confirmation that something is wrong. Instead, keep the leash loose but under control. Walk with purpose. Lead the dog, don't let them lead you. And if they start to fixate, change direction before they get the chance to react. Keep them moving. Keep them engaged. For severe aggression, professional help may be necessary. A balanced trainer who understands behavior, not just obedience, can make a massive difference. But no matter what, the most important thing is consistency. You can't correct aggression one day and let it slide the next. You can't reward calm behavior sometimes and ignore it other times. Dogs learn through repetition, through clarity. Aggression isn't an attitude problem. It's a behavioral response. And behaviors can be changed. But only if you put in the work. Only if you approach it with the right mindset. It's not about stopping aggression in the moment. It's about preventing it from ever happening again. Leash pulling, why it happens and how to fix it. A walk should be enjoyable. A time for bonding, exercise, and fresh air. But for too many dog owners, it's a daily struggle. The moment the leash is clipped on, the excitement kicks in. The door opens, and suddenly, you're being dragged down the sidewalk like a human sled. Your arm aches. Your frustration builds. The more you pull back, the harder they pull forward. It's exhausting. And worst of all, it's dangerous. Leash pulling doesn't happen because a dog is stubborn or trying to dominate you. It's a simple case of cause and effect. Dogs walk faster than humans. They're built for movement. And if they've learned that pulling gets them where they want to go, they'll keep doing it. Every time a dog pulls and you follow, you're reinforcing the behavior. They pull, you move forward. That's all the confirmation they need. But there's more to it than just excitement. Some dogs pull out of frustration. They see another dog, a squirrel, a new smell, and their instincts take over. They're tethered to you, but their brain is telling them to chase. That frustration builds, and suddenly, they're lunging, barking, completely disconnected from you. For others, pulling is fueled by anxiety. The outside world is unpredictable. There are loud noises, unfamiliar people, other dogs. Pulling isn't just about getting somewhere, it's about getting away from something. So how do you fix it? It starts before the walk even begins. If the moment you pick up the leash your dog is already spinning in circles, jumping, whining, then the walk is over before it even starts. You have to break that pattern. The leash doesn't go on until they're calm. If they get too excited, you wait. No words, no frustration, just stillness. The leash is a privilege, not a trigger for chaos. Once you step outside, the key is control. A pulling dog is a dog that's focused on everything except you. You have to become the center of their attention. Start by reinforcing engagement. Walk a few steps, then stop. Wait for them to check in with you. Reward that moment. Teach them that staying connected to you is more rewarding than pulling ahead. One of the simplest, most effective techniques is the stop and go method. The second your dog starts pulling, you stop. No yelling. No yanking. Just stop. The moment they release tension on the leash, you move forward. It teaches them that pulling gets them nowhere while walking calmly keeps them moving. Some dogs pick up on this quickly. Others take time. But the key is consistency. Another game changer? The direction change. If your dog pulls ahead, don't fight against them. Turn and walk the other way. When they rush past you again, turn back. Do it enough times, and they'll realize that the only way to stay on course is to pay attention to you. It's not about controlling them, it's about guiding them. Equipment matters too. A front clip harness gives you better control without choking or causing discomfort. A standard flat collar? Useless against a determined puller. Retractable leashes? Even worse. They teach a dog that pulling gets them more freedom. If you want structure, you need the right tools. And then there's the most overlooked part: mental stimulation. A dog that pulls isn't just physically energetic, they're mentally understimulated. A quick walk around the block isn't enough. They need challenges. Structured play, scent games, obedience training. A mentally satisfied dog is a dog that walks better on a leash. The biggest mistake people make is thinking leash training is about control. It's not. It's about communication. The leash should feel like a connection, not a tug of war. When done right, a walk isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about moving together, in sync, without stress, without struggle. And once you get there, you'll never go back to the battle you once fought every time you stepped outside. Common mistakes and pro trainer tips. Most dog owners mean well. They love their dogs, they want the best for them, but when it comes to behavior issues, love alone isn't enough. The difference between a well-trained dog and a dog that struggles isn't luck, it's knowledge. And the hard truth? A lot of the things people do to fix anxiety, aggression, and leash pulling actually make it worse. One of the biggest mistakes? Inconsistency. A dog doesn't understand, sometimes. If pulling on the leash works one day but doesn't the next, they're confused. If they're allowed on the couch one moment and scolded for it later, they don't know the rules. And if barking at the door is ignored on Monday but yelled at on Tuesday, the behavior doesn't disappear, it just becomes unpredictable. Dogs thrive on clear, consistent boundaries. Every time you make an exception, you undo progress. Then, there's the mistake of reinforcing bad behavior without realizing it. A nervous dog clings to their owner, and what do most people do? They pet them. Reassure them. Tell them it's okay. But to a dog, that's not comfort, it's validation. It confirms that their fear is justified. A dog that barks at strangers gets picked up, shielded, or even worse, given treats to calm them down. All they learn is that reacting gets them attention, gets them rewarded. And the cycle continues. Another major mistake? Relying on punishment instead of redirection. Yelling at an anxious dog doesn't make them less anxious. Punishing a reactive dog doesn't make them feel safer. A leash pop, a firm no, or an e-collar might suppress behavior in the moment, But suppression isn't correction. If the root cause isn't addressed, that energy builds. It doesn't disappear, it finds another way out. And sometimes, that means aggression that's even harder to control. Then, there's the issue of waiting too long to intervene. A dog doesn't go from calm to aggressive overnight. A leash pull doesn't start as a full sprint. It begins as a few steps too far. Anxiety isn't instant. It builds over time. The best trainers don't wait for a problem to become obvious before fixing it. They correct the small signs before they turn into big ones. The stiffened posture. The locked eyes. The tension in the body before the explosion. These are the moments when intervention matters most. And then, there's human energy. Dogs read it better than people do. If an owner is nervous, the dog feels it. If they hesitate, the dog notices. If they approach training with frustration, the dog mirrors that frustration. A confident leader creates a confident dog. Not through dominance, not through intimidation, but through calm, controlled direction. So what do professional trainers do differently? They lead with structure, not emotion. They correct behaviors before they escalate. They focus on what they want from the dog, not just what they don't want. They understand that every unwanted behavior has a cause, and instead of punishing the symptom, they treat the source. The best training advice isn't about quick fixes or trendy hacks. It's about consistency, clear leadership, knowing when to intervene, rewarding calm, not chaos. And above all, understanding that a well-trained dog isn't about forcing obedience, it's about building trust. Because when a dog trusts you, listens to you, and respects you, the problems you once struggled with, they disappear. Now you have all the tools you need to stop dog anxiety, aggression, and leash pulling. But here's the thing, knowing what to do is one part of the equation. Actually applying it, that's where the real change happens. It's not about perfection. You're going to have setbacks. Some days will feel like progress, others will feel like you're right back where you started. And that's normal. What matters is consistency, patience, sticking to the process even when it feels slow. Your dog isn't trying to be difficult. They're reacting the only way they know how. And now, you know how to guide them through it. Whether it's building their confidence, setting clear boundaries, or changing how you handle their triggers, every small adjustment adds up. A week from now, you'll start seeing changes. A month from now, those changes will feel natural. And in time, that dog who once pulled you down the street, who barked at strangers, who panicked when you left the house, that won't be your reality anymore. If this video helped you, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Every week, we drop expert-backed tips to help you build a stronger bond with your dog and make training easier. And if you're serious about understanding your dog on a deeper level, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Click on this next video, where I break down 17 everyday things that actually hurt your dog's feelings, and most owners have no idea they're even doing them. Watch it now. You'll be surprised.